My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything
I made a custom tier list. Okay, now guys, if you don't know Denny too well, he is a VFX professional. He does thumbnails, he does all that. So if you guys are interested, you should go hit him up. But let's get his opinion on the VSE thumbnail tier list, baby. Now, as you guys know, only so much people have beaten VSE, but we're going to go through every single thumbnail and put this shit on the tier list. All right? Starting off with Yossarian. Chat, what are we thinking for Yossarian? Because, like, it has aura because it's the verification, obviously.
I'd say that thumbnail was pretty good a few years ago, but it's a little bit outdated now.
Ooh.
I'd give it a solid
S tier. Someone said F tier. Sheesh. Where's the VSE hacked thumbnail Lamau?
VSE hack thumbnail.
Okay, now you're funny for that. Yeah, no, you're real funny.
Maybe A.
I'm thinking A. Now we move on to Diamond's thumbnail. Can I just be honest?
This one.
Oh.
Oh, wait, were you gonna say something mean?
I was gonna say C tier. I don't like the.
How did this stupid 2D block game managed to become the hardest game in the world, outlive the game it initially copied by 15 years, get over 300 million downloads, and become the most profitable mobile game in the world, all while not being updated for 6 years straight, and being predicted to fail every step of the way. Well, this strange story starts in 2009, when a small indie developer named Fluke Dude would release the Impossible game, the original game that would start this all. Now, this name should already ring a bell for you, because it would become an instant hit. Why? Well, it was actually kinda genius. You see, at that time, there was a lot of focus on complex and graphically intensive games, but despite this, the Impossible game would go the complete opposite route. In this game, players control a square that automatically moved forward, and the only action required was to tap the screen to jump over spikes and other objects. The point of the game was to make it to the end of the level in one try, without any checkpoints, which was rage-inducing in itself, but was amplified even more by the fact that the few levels that the game featured were incredibly hard for that time. Other identifying factors for the game were its super basic graphics. I mean, the game was literally 2D, and it had single control gameplay. The only thing you could do in the game was tapping to jump. So hearing all of this, you might be asking yourself, how exactly did it become a hit? Well,
Beton! Straszny advent.
Well, everything I just told you, although seeming negative, is exactly what made it so appealing. It was a direct contrast to what was already popular, making it instantly stand out. The basic graphics and limited controls made it accessible to literally anyone, whether you were playing on a $5,000 PC or your mom's 5-year-old phone. And the sheer difficulty of the levels coupled with no checkpoints made the gameplay so much more intense and addicting. So because of that, 1 month after its release, it already had 10,000 downloads, which for that time was very impressive. But about a year later, it would have over 3 million downloads. What the f happened in between those timestamps? Well, when the game initially launched, it only featured a single level, but over the next coming months, Fluke Dude would update the game with new features, like upside down gameplay, new levels, bug fixes, and more. And you would think that's what caused this massive spike in downloads. Well, not exactly. Remember how I described how good the game's concept was earlier? Well, big YouTubers started to pick up on this as well. And that's where the game absolutely blew up. The sudden exposure catapulted it to the top of every single game chart. Thousands upon thousands of downloads every single day. Everyone wanted to try this new game. The future for it was looking bright. Or was it? You see, despite all of this hype and success, the game had many flaws. Ones that didn't seem so significant now because of the big smoke cloud of hype around the game, but would eventually lead to its unfortunate demise and dethroning. But before we get into that, I want to thank War Thunder for sponsoring this video. I see 10 Thunder and people from my getting closely at all more to than Flynn has. Also have $1 account. As I was saying, the Impossible game had tons upon tons of problems, with the first one being lack of content. Despite its initial popularity, the game offered only a handful of levels, and once these were beaten, there was little else to keep players engaged. The novelty of its difficulty and simplicity wore off, leaving players craving more variety and challenge. But Fluke Dude seemed unwilling to do anything about it. Time between updates was starting to become longer and longer, and no big updates had been done ever since the initial release of the game. Perhaps he didn't realize at that time what a gold mine he truly sat on, but if he wasn't seeing it, someone else definitely already was. A couple of years pass after the Impossible game's peak, and the hype has totally died down at this point, and everyone has for the most part forgotten about the cube jumping game. But in the shadows, something was cooking. RobTop, seeing the Impossible game's previous success, despite having glaring flaws, understood that there was clear untapped potential. So he decided to create something that not only emulated its addictive gameplay, but also enhanced its significance significantly. Geometry Dash was designed to capture the essence of what made the Impossible game appealing, while fixing the flaws that capped its growth. First of all, RobTop would release multiple levels right when the game launched, so players right off the bat had plenty of content. However, the levels were not all hard unlike the Impossible game. They were ranging in difficulty, with the first one being the easiest and the last one being the hardest. This didn't seem like much, but it would drastically lower the entry barrier, since players could choose a skill difficulty aligned with their own skill level. But all of that failed in comparison to this one single feature. Now, RobTop saw that lack of replayability is what killed the Impossible game, so with the level editor, he aimed to fix just that. With this feature, players were able to build their own levels that they could then publicize for everyone else to play. In theory, this would solve the content drought problem. Players were now not only limited to the official levels made by the creator of the game, but thousands of user-made levels, each different from one another. So a couple of months of development later, and he finally releases the game. Now, despite everything I just told you, the game actually had a very slow start, barely racking up a few hundred players in the first few months of the game existing. People had gotten enough of the whole cube jumping concept in itself, or did they? RobTop wouldn't give up that easily. He would continue to update the game, each update bringing something new and unique to it. Update 1.2, adding the reverse portals, reversing your game when entering through it. Update 1.3, adding leaderboards, which added a competitive aspect to the game, and these were all very good things that enhanced the gameplay and just generally made the game more fun. It was clear that RobTop was putting in genuine effort and care into the game, and these thoughts were all reflected by the small current player base. They were loving it. The reception for the game was amazing, but the growth was still incredibly slow, and after each update, RobTop was slowly losing motivation. Maybe the concept didn't work after all. Little did he know, he was missing one small detail that was preventing all of this. And in update 1.1, he would unknowingly add it, which would change the course of the game forever.
Ти що, злякався? Я теж. Хеллоуін у Слот-Сіті. Він на те...
Update 1.1 among many other things added new unlockable characters and colors. It wasn't anything unusual from what was added to the game before, but one of these features would change the course of the game forever: the replay recorder. On the surface, it just seems like a fun feature. You can rewatch your previous attempts and share it to your friends and other people, but that's exactly what the game needed. The Impossible game was able to gain so much exposure because people were sharing the level attempts and completions, and by adding a feature that subconsciously encouraged people to do just that, by making it easier to do, people began spreading the game, which was exactly the push needed to cause a chain reaction. People were sharing their attempts to their friends, which they shared to their friends, and so on, eventually reaching the YouTubers, who began making videos on the game. The word spread like wildfire, and soon the game absolutely skyrocketed to the top, just like the Impossible game did previously. But unlike the Impossible game, Geometry Dash had a light version, so people who were on the edge of paying for the game could try out the trial version before making up their mind. This free version also exposed the game to a whole new market of people who were just simply looking for free games to play, which would funnel over even more people to the full version of the game, which was paid. Robtop would continue to update Geometry Dash to satisfy this new surge of players. Update 1.6, adding the first official demon level Club Step, and secret coins which would be used to unlock demon levels. Update 1.9, adding the second demon level Theory of Everything 2, and the new wave game mode. And all of these things would go on to become the iconic features and levels we all know and love today. But a problem was starting to arise. The game was starting to go on a bit of a decline. The initial hype of the game was at this point starting to fade away. Robtop had the right thought when adding the level editor, allowing for unlimited versatility in the game, which extended the game's shelf life by a little bit. But really, there are so many levels you can play before it simply gets repetitive and stale. After all, the gameplay is for the most part the same across all of these levels, since there's literally only one game control, which is clicking, and there's only so much you can do with that, and that's also why the Impossible game died. It is at this point almost all games in this category fall off. These types of games are not meant to last a long time. The concept is just simply not suited for that. Geometry Dash was doomed to fail from the start. Except it didn't. You see, despite not even being updated for 6 years straight, it surpassed its peak and continues to grow till this day. But the most surprising part about this is that it was done unintentionally. So how did this happen? The initial hype for the game had died down, and the game was kinda at a dry spot. All the big updates that could have fixed the game in any significant way had already been made, and Robtop was just left adding small changes and bug fixes to the game. If you wanted to save this game, something would have to happen quick. He would continue updating the game on a regular basis, desperately trying to do all he could to revive it, but nothing really seemed to be working. And being super discouraged by that, updates would start to become less and less frequent. But little did he know that he was accidentally about to change this all. Back in 2014, Geometry Dash only had 5 difficulty ratings: easy, normal, hard, harder, and insane, since the difficulty didn't really go up higher at that time. But a problem would soon arise. You see, the max amount of stars you can get for beating a level at that time was 9, being done through beating an insane level, the maximum difficulty. But soon, a level that was harder than anything that had ever been seen before in Geometry Dash was made, called Demon Park. Now, this was kinda weird, because while being harder than any of the current insane levels, you'd still get the 9 maximum stars for beating the level, so players were instantly repelled from this level. Why spend days to complete Demon Park when you can just beat an average insane level and get the same amount of stars? So because of that, the level instantly became hated. But Robtop was impressed. The game had never been pushed to a limit like that, so to honor it, he added the demon difficulty in update 1.6. The amount of demon levels that you had beaten were displayed on your public profile, serving as bragging rights. But what Robtop didn't realize is that this little change would inadvertently reward players for pushing the game to its limits. Demon Park was quickly knocked out from the first place as the hardest level. It seemed like every day new demon levels were being released, each one harder than the last. But alright, why am I telling you all of this? Let's skip forward a few years. The year is now 2017. Geometry Dash is at version 2.1. You'd expect the game to be dead by now. After all, it was falling off so rapidly a few years back, so surely it must be completely dead now. Well, the game had actually tripled its player count and showed no signs of slowing down. How did this happen? Well, what if I told you that it was all because of demon levels? Let me explain. As I was saying, demons were released literally every single day, each one becoming harder than the last. This will go on for a bit until eventually we reached Cataclysm, a level thought to be impossible. And that was it. We had reached the skill ceiling. We couldn't go higher from here, or so people thought not only would this move the game forward in terms of skill and what was thought to be possible, it would also serve as a major event for the community. You see, prior to this, the game didn't really have a dedicated community, and the game didn't really mean anything to people. It was just something people played casually. But this was the first time people had actually come together to watch and celebrate something. It was like a football game, something for players to aspire to. Old players that were previously bored of the game, and even people that had already quit, were suddenly engaged again. Even more than that, it would also create a huge buzz. People had never seen such a seemingly dumb game being pushed to absolute limits like that, subsequently bringing new players into the game. This would happen time and time again. Secupenhell, Sonic Wave, Bloodbath, and bam, we're in 2017 again. The game is growing better than ever. The community is flourishing, and RobTop has just released the biggest update yet, 2.1. But little did players know that this would be the last update for 6 whole years. This update was very beneficial for the game, adding many big features like object movement, other revolutionary level editor features and other stuff that would greatly enhance player-made levels. But would that really be enough to keep a game alive for 6 years? The previous times Geometry Dash had a stale period like this, RobTop still consistently updated the game, so would it be able to pull through this time without any updates? 2 years passed after the update, and the year is now 2019, and interestingly enough, the game is still alive and keeps growing. What was happening? When other games would have absolutely crumbled after half a year of not updating, Geometry Dash was still standing strong after 2 years. While many notable events had happened in that time period, like Nobbleboy verifying the hardest level the game had ever seen being a buffed version of Bloodbath, literally the previous hardest level in the game. And after that, the levels just kept getting harder and harder. At some point, there was a guy literally beating a level after 3 years and 850,000 attempts. The craziest part is that today, this isn't even the hardest level, and only like the 4th on the demon list, with Tidal Wave being the hardest one. Within those 6 years, Geometry Dash managed to become one of the hardest games in the world. A stupid block game holding a title like this was absolutely mind-boggling, which in itself brought incredible hype to the game. But all of that wouldn't have been possible without this. You see, there was also something interesting happening. It wasn't the achievements themselves that were keeping the game alive, it was the community, talking about and creating hype for events, content creators making videos on the game, top players absolutely pushing the game to its limits skill-wise, level creators revolutionizing what was thought to be possible, not only skill-wise, but also mechanically. An example of this would be this level. This is literally a 3D level that was created in a basic level editor made for 2D levels. Like, how is that even possible? And all of this would continue on through the rest of the years. Insane achievements, revolutionary events, big scandals, memes, and just generally constant hype around the game. Until eventually, after 6 years, 2.2 was finally released, being the best update the game has ever had, creating the biggest peak in the game's history. But once again, that wouldn't have been possible if the community didn't keep talking and creating hype around it. Otherwise, no one would even care. You can make the game the best possible game, the best graphics, the best gameplay, the best literally everything. But if it doesn't have a community, it will most likely die. So yeah, that is
you